Sorry. Come on.
Great music. Hello, my name is Amnon and I'm the CEO of GeoEdge. First of all, it's great to be here. This will be the third time that we're actually sponsoring one of the Digiday events. We did Miami, Barcelona, and it's always a great opportunity for us to meet with you guys, hear your problem and help us to improve our solution to address your needs. What I would like to do today is to give you some kind of an overview of malware. I was debating what kind of input I can give you. I didn't want to make it too technical, but on the other hand, I wanted to bring you value. So I decided to focus on the kind of question or the kind of feedback that we get from publishers when they are approaching us and seeking for a consultant about malware. So the presentation will have two parts. The first one, I would like to give you a new look about malware, a new look about evaluating the cost of malware of your organization. And the second portion will be some of the misconceptions that we hear from publishers about protection. And hopefully I will be able to provide you, to educate you a bit, and you will be better prepared when a malware attack will happen. Just a few words about GeoEdge. So we are in the space of ad verification, and our mission is to provide a safe and clean and engaging user experience. So what we are trying to do is we're trying to take the protection to the next level, not only focusing on malware, but having a whole view on user experience in general, and provide you the tool in order to protect you and your user. Going back to the discussion that we just had, we also trying to do it in a very easy way from technology perspective. We believe that we should bring the technology and the expertise, and at the end of the day, you just need to turn the switch and count on us that we will do the job. We have two products, and actually we're going to announce today another one. So the first one is online ad verification. This is about display verification, mobile ad verification, and we're very excited about our new offering, ad verification. We're actually the first vendor in the market that's going to tackle the challenges about video quality and video experience. Think like auto sound, video inside display, and other issues that we hear from publishers. So we actually came up with a solution to solve it. We have over 700 customers. Some of the big brands are here on this slide. So let's start. So let's try to have a 30,000 feet view about what is the real cost of malware for your business. I divided it into three different categories. User experience, direct cost that you will bear when a malware will happen, and long-term impact on your business and on your ecosystem. So let's start with the user experience. So basically what I'm showing you here in order to get the discussion started, I'm showing you, the experience that the user will encounter when a malware attack will happen. I distinguish between two levels. The first one is when the user just gets a warning. Today, many of the browsers have some kind of protection, and sometimes they block the user before they actually get to a malicious site. Or if we're talking about a more advanced user, you might have an antivirus, and that will be the way that it will look from the user perspective. On the other end, if the user was actually got infected, there will be some kind of a damage to the machine. It could be a ransom virus, which is very popular today, or some kind of damage to his machine. This is exactly the point when you guys will get into the picture. This is the point when you will see tweets about the malware attack on your website, or you will start getting a call about quality. And this is the time when you will start thinking, how do I find the malware? And this is something that I will talk about during the presentation. From your perspective, that might look like the worst case scenario, but actually from a malware perspective or from malware protection perspective, this is not such a bad scenario, because in this case, we can actually pinpoint the malware, and the malware is there. So actually, these are not the sophisticated malware because they create a lot of noise. So the amount of exposure is relatively small because very, very, very quickly there is a lot of publicity about the malware, and it's quite easy to pinpoint this kind of malware, and usually the collateral damage that they create in the long term is quite limited. what I also want to talk about is that when you are thinking about user experience, there is a very tendency only to focus about the full-blown malware, meaning this will be the malware that the antiviruses will alert upon, and so on. But a better approach is actually to get a holistic view on the user experience. And today, when we are talking about ad verification and protection, we see many intrusive activity to the user that are not considered full-blown malware. These will not make the headline like a malware, but they create a very bad user experience. And I'm quite sure that almost on all of your sites, if you are working with some kind of third-party demand partner, some of these activities are happening. Auto redirect is a very big one. Drive-by download, this will be automatic download that will happen on your site. It might not be a full-blown malware, but at the end of the day, that creates a very bad user experience and something that you should be worried about. I actually have here one example that I like to show. This is from a mobile conference presentation that I did a few months ago. What is a mobile redirect? So the user plays this game, an ad show. So far, everything is great. And then there is a redirect that basically shift the user to the App Store to another application. This is a very intrusive, unfriendly experience, and if it will happen once or twice on your application, guess what? That will be the last time that you will see this user on the application. The next angle that I would like to talk about is about direct cost. So there was a malware. So of course, I think the obvious one, you all understand the bad publicity implication, the implication on your brand. You definitely don't want to be associated with the malware. In addition, there is the operational challenges to trace and block the campaigns. Once malware attack will happen, guess what? Your entire operation team and also the entire sales team or the entire company will spend time to look for the malware because the malware is there and you want to stop it as soon as possible. Now, the reason that I created this circle is because what typically happens, and again, in a more sophisticated malware, is that the malware attacks are dynamic, meaning that there is a very good chance that by the time that your team will start looking for the malware, they will not find it. You know why? Because the malware is not there anymore. Today, the hackers, the way they work, once they get some significant exposure, traffic, in our terminology, and they have enough exposure in order not to be detected, they will just shut down the malware. The campaign might still be there, but the malware will not be there. And then your team will look for it, but you will not find it because the malware is not there. Guess what? You will spend a few days, all is good. 2 weeks after, the same malware is activated again. And then from publicity point of view, from brand reputation point of view, that's become a disaster because it looks like you guys have a malware on your site for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, months, and you cannot find it. And that's something that you don't want to be in this situation. We can talk about demand partner blocks. So maybe, you don't know, what to do. You cannot pinpoint the malware, so you will try to do trial and error. What is the first thing you will do? You will start shutting down demand partner. That, of course, will have a big implication on your revenues. Sometimes you are shutting the right demand partner, sometimes you don't. You live in uncertainty. And, of course, legal exposure, that could be from your user, that could be due to regulation. And that could be also due, for example, going back to the example that I showed previously about the mobile redirect. If you will read both Google and the Apple policy, this is a very serious breach of their policy. And basically, they can take down your application from the marketplace. They've done it many times in the past because it's your liability if the ad run on your application. The next thing I would like to talk is about the long-term impact of your business. Okay, so often users are not aware they have been infected. And these are actually the more sophisticated malware. These are the malware that the user will not feel any change in the machine will work great, it will not get any indication, everything is working perfectly. A naive approach, a naive publisher might say, you know what, why should I care? Nobody knows about it, the malware is there, it doesn't impact my business. So let's try to understand what these kind of malware are doing. So ad injection, I'm sure you all familiar and know about that. So basically, there is a piece of software that runs on the machine, and when your website is there, it hijacks your traffic. It will put campaign on top of your campaign. If there are white spaces, it will fill the white spaces. And today, the estimation that between 5 to 10% of the users have some kind of ad injection that came via a malware, the same malware that we are talking about that could get through the advertising. A more sophisticated ad injection, that will be domain spoofing. Here, not only that they're taking your inventory, they're actually reselling a traffic under your brand. So not only that there are advertiser dollars that go into the bad guys, advertisers are trying to buy inventory on your website, there is also a chance that you will be blacklisted in different marketplaces. So it's, I'm sure you can understand that this is something that you cannot bear. And the last thing I would like to talk about is click fraud. Because today, many of the malware actually create click fraud. So this is a piece of software for those of you that don't, I don't want to get too technical, but basically we're talking about here bots that are installed on the user machine. And these bots, what they are doing in the background, they go to a website and do clicks. Okay? Nobody knows about it. The user is not aware of that. It looks very authentic for all the fraud detection mechanism because it comes from a real user. And this is today the biggest business in the malware industry, if you want. Now, again, the naive approach can say traffic fraud is only a problem for the advertiser, right? Why should I care? Maybe I even make more money. It's not my problem. So this may happen on your site, okay? If you are working and if you are getting traffic and you're getting paid traffic to your website, there is a very good chance that there is fake traffic on your website. And in fact, there is a report that was published 2 months ago by the ANA that found that 25% of today artificial traffic or bot traffic actually come from premium publishers, people like you guys in this room. And you are not even aware of that. And you might even make money from that and you're not aware of that. But this is something that was actually measured and calculated. Now, what is the long-term implication of that? Advertisers starting to lose faith in premium publisher traffic, meaning that today, there used to be, debate about if there was a click, if there was a conversion, but now it's becoming even bigger than that, okay? What are the real traffic numbers? And the implication here, if we are trying to see the big picture, we are trying to understand the big implication on the ecosystem is A, that CPMs go down because practically today advertisers actually take it into account. They already assume that some of the traffic is fake, so guess what? They will lower the CPM. And the second one, that this creates a very complicated business, a very complicated relationship between you and the advertiser. You will start to see in your contract, in your POs, please don't show my campaign after 10 p.m. And the main reason because most of the fake traffic happened at night. And there will be other requests to put monitoring tool about your fake traffic. So this is a real problem, and in the long term, I think this is something that you should be very, very concerned about. So that was the first part, and again, the motivation here was, to allow you to get a better understanding about what is the overall or the macro risk of malware. And here, what I would like to focus here about the more practical advices, the more practical misconception that we get from publishers when they come to consult about malware protection, and this is what we hear. So the first misconception, okay, manual pre-check. Of course, all of you, you're premium, you have a direct team, you have trafficking team, you have QA team, you are checking your campaigns. I'm sure you're doing a great job. But this is, in the malware space, this is meaningless. And there are two reasons. What we have here, we have here a timeline that shows you a typical malware in a very simplistic manner. So the hacker actually somehow buy traffic on your website. A campaign is being launched. So far, malware hasn't happened. So far, everything is great. The malware attack will happen a few days after. In this time, the hacker tried to understand what's going on. He tried to see if there is any malware detection. He tried to see the amount of traffic. At the end of the day, also from the bad guy perspective, he's doing risk evaluation. Should I turn on the malware? Maybe the malware will be detected, and then I lost my opportunity to make money. So in this time, he's sitting there and just trying to understand the nature of the traffic. At some point, the campaign will be activated. So your pre-launch was meaningless because it happened only a few days after the campaign was launched. On the other hand, I have here two users. One user is using access the website from France, using IE version XY, in a certain time, and the other user came with a different targeting parameter. Only one of them will get the malware. Today, malware usually target a specific segment of the market, and again, in order to avoid detection. Since you did a manual check using the same browser, the same IP from your office, there is a very slim chance that you will be able to actually find it by yourself without the tools. The second misconception is about ad server protection. I'm protected because I'm using my ad server malware detection. Okay, this is something that we hear a lot, and actually it's a big no-no. The main reason is because the publisher ad server is quite limited in the traffic and the actual flow of the campaign that they can seize, quote unquote. So we have here the tag that was embedded in the publisher. This tag will be verified. But all the traffic that will happen from the user machine to the third-party tag until the malware tag will not flow through the publisher ad server. It is true that some ad server try to somehow create impression and do that, but this is very, very limited. They are not doing it from different geolocation. They are not using different user agents. The frequency is very low. And at the end of the day, the protection is quite limited. And the best example that I could find, this is from September 2014. So that was a malware attack that came through the double-click .NET domain. The impression was resold to Zido, and it's attacked Last.fm and Jerusalem Post. Direct campaign. I'm protected because I'm serving campaign directly from my in-house platform. This is true that the actual creative is protected. The creative is inside your infrastructure, and assuming your infrastructure is solid and are protected, this is correct. But you don't know what happened after the user click on the banner. And guess what? 50, 60, 70% of the attack happen after the user click on the banner. From that point, you don't have any more control on the user. The user will be redirected and redirected. If there is a specific attack, it can happen there exactly as it can happen on your website. And you're accountable. From the user perspective, the fact that he clicked on the ad and he was redirected to a different domain doesn't change anything. It was a campaign on your website, and it's your responsibility to make sure it's clean. Another point is about third-party code. I'm sure all of you have tons of third-party code on your website. Each one of these codes could be a gateway for malware. It could be tracking code. It could be measurement code, viewability code. I mean, there are tons of code that you have on your site. Each tiny pixel is a gateway for malware. And finally, time after time, we see that infrastructure has been hacked. So even if everything is hosted in your own infrastructure, if a hacker will find a way into it, he will be able to place a malware. And the last misconception is about trusted demand partner. So I'm protected because I trust my demand partner. So this is partially true. Of course, that if you're using more premium demand partner or more well-known demand partner, you're in a better position. The challenge here that the protection systems are based on scan. And the amount of, if you want, bandwidth, or the amount of attention that you as a single publisher in the entire ecosystem of the demand partner will get is limited. So you're getting like a protection, but a very basic protection. Now, I have here an example, and I don't want to mention any name because I think some of the folks are in this room, but if you do insist. So this is an example that happened 2 months ago and make a lot of headways. By the way, I know in fact that AOL are doing a great job, but what we can all learn from that even when you're trying to do a great job and you have the great technology, still there is limitation and things can happen. So you can only trust yourself. So to conclude, so what can be done? First of all, use a proactive approach. Don't wait that it will happen. When the attack will happen, it will be too late. Companies like GeoEdge and other ad verification platforms cannot help you when the attack already happened. The time it will take to trace the malware will be too late. You need to have the protection in place. Understand the implication for the user. That's very important. Understand the overall risk. Understand what exactly the experience of the user. If it's a redirect, what exactly was the flow. Find the infected campaign. And now the big challenge is how. And I don't have, again, I don't think that you have the in-house tool to do so. Track the bad player. You need to map through all your mediator who was exactly the one that delivered the campaign. And, of course, block the campaign. And this brings me, to what we are doing in GeoEdge. This is, one slide that, I would like to spend some time. So we put holistic view on the user experience. We are not only limited, it's not malware, it's malware plus all the other things that we discussed previously. You get full transparency. We are providing you detection and recommendation. So we are not putting the bar by just saying there was a malware. We're trying to actually come up with a business recommendation, what shall be done about it. And again, we came from an assumption that you guys don't have the expertise. You just heard, we cannot grasp all the different technology out there, and definitely we cannot assume that you guys are malware experts. This is our job. So when we detect the malware, it will not only be there was a malware, but also we'll come to a recommendation. What is the risk? What is the implication of the user? What is the action you should do? We will pinpoint the partner, and we'll provide you the tool to mitigate the risk and mitigate the malware very quickly. Time is up? Okay. So thank you. Do we have time for questions? Or okay. Any questions that I may address? The music now.
What kind of your technology works with video?
With video. Thank you, Jeff. This is Jeff Glickman, our director of sales. So. So we're super excited about our new GeoEdge video verification. So I kept it to the last. I don't know how much time we have, so just really, really quickly, again, we are tackling the video quality. If you guys are working with video, this slide is very, very relevant for you. You're all familiar with autoplay. Some people tell me that autoplay is the problem, autoplay or auto sound. That's the new malware for video. So we can help you to streamline the operation aspect as well as the quality aspect of videos. And that's it. So thank you very much.